I'm Mary Birkinshaw, who was Mary Birkinshaw. We came up to Derwent in 1943 in a pony and trap from North Lees, and then we settled in Derwent, but Derwent was a different place because all the people that were under the waterline had moved away or been relocated, and there were only the gamekeepers and the people who lived in the Duke of Norfolk's properties. He was still alive and they were still above the waterline. Life was quite nice actually in Derwent. Because the others are all moved away, everybody joined in with everybody else, and Dad always cut everybody's hair, all the same style of course. If we killed an animal, we would take to the cottagers, take them a few chops or lamb or pork or something, and they in extra, we supplied the milk because Dad milked 2 cows. And the cottagers were all very good gardeners at Jubilee Cottages, and you only needed a few tomatoes and or a lettuce, and we used to be sent on there to ask Mr. Wilson if he'd got a lettuce that we could have for tea or something in that. So really life was quite easy until 1947 came along and we had that bad snow, and then things got very hard. But we had the cows, and Dad did the milking so Mum could make butter. She was very good at bread. Her mother had made bread for the village in Hathersage before the war. So she made the butter, and when we came home from school, when we were not snowed in, we would have a bowl of whipped cream in the middle of the table and a pot of homemade jam and homemade bread and homemade butter. So we didn't need anybody else. And when the snow came, she had to teach 1 or 2 people how to make bread, because all they sent was a bag of flour and some yeast, and that had to last for 6 weeks, so they were really a bit hard pushed. Then came the Coronation, and with no electric, but Dad decided that we should have a generator and have a television. So he found out that Edward Marsden, that's John's brother, lived at Abney, and he was getting rid of a large generator. It had been used on the farm, and so really it was far too big for what he wanted, but it was a generator and that would be all right. So we got wired up, and about 6 weeks before the Coronation he got it installed, and then we asked for a television. Well, there weren't any televisions around, and so we finally ended up with 2, and one had got the picture and one had got the sound. So it was a toss-up as to which one we kept, and we decided on the picture one, I think, and that was to put that one on. Anyway, a proper television did arrive by the Coronation Day, and the Coronation Day was, we'd put all chairs out in the sitting room and got the telly on, but the telly, because it was so big, the generator, you couldn't see the picture, it was shaking that much, unless you switched every light on. Every appliance had to be switched on to calm the generator down and make the picture watchable, as you might say. And but that was, anybody who wanted could come along and come and watch the television, so the celebration on the telly. But in the village we had sort of quite a good community, and when I look at the photograph, there were lots, practically everybody turned out. My dad had managed to form a parish council, so we could do a meal in the community centre, which had been the Catholic school. And with all these people that came, we had got a very big parish now. It had previously been just Derwent, Ashipton, Ladybower, but now we included, it was Derwent and Woodlands. We went right up to the Snake Inn, and we went round, up past the Ladybower, up to Strine's Lane End, and people came. Actually, we had people from Abney, I can see on the photograph, and people from Thornhill, Bamford. It must have been a good meal we were having, because they seemed to all turn up and they're on this here photograph. There were no other people about in those days, so we had sports under the down wall on that flat piece, under Derwent down wall, and it was everybody competed in that. And then they moved down to St Henry's, which was where the slap-up meal was put on, and each person brought something for the meal. I think food was still in short supply, so some would have killed an animal or something and bring a joint. And my mother had plenty of cream, so she always made the trifles, and I was 12 at the time. But we wouldn't be able to be open too late because we didn't have electricity down in the rooms, so it'd only be paraffin lamps or tilly lamp, and we didn't have the kitchen at that time because the gamekeeper had still got that as a bedroom for his mother-in-law. So through the door into what is now the kitchen was a bedroom for Mrs. Dearden, I think she was called. The memorabilia which I've lent to Hathersage for their celebration this time belonged to Mrs. Law. Now Mrs. Law, Percy Law was the butcher in Hathersage, and he lived where the bakery is now, on the end of Brentwood there. And I think she must have had all these photographs, and she was so royal. But she was there for the first celebration, and the shop must have looked fantastic, I assume, in Bamford, because we had our own decorations up there, and I don't know where they went.
Now, Mary's very kindly brought us into a room at her home that's absolutely full of Coronation memorabilia. What can you tell us about it, Mary? What are these photographs?
Well, Mrs. Law was the butcher's wife, Percy Law at Bamford, and she died in 1976, I think, but she was very, very royal. And anything to do with the royal family, she would buy it or go and see it or do something. And this we found amongst the contents of what she left were just all in a box. I assume that she put them up in the butcher's shop in Bamford for the coronation, and it would have been a wonderful display she'd got there. I can't imagine anyone else buying 2 photographs of the Queen and Prince Philip for the coronation, and then she's got another photograph there which is of them side by side, and that's in black and white. The others are in colour. Then in the picture frame here we've got Charles and Anne, and that is in black and white. The shield will be 18 inches by a foot, and then the big crown on the top of it, I don't know where she would put that. Then we've got 2 sort of lengths with long lived the Queen. They're bright red with blue, royal blue, and then written in white, and they are made of paper, but they would have been just stuck on, I don't want to say what they're only a light paper, but they're substantial paper. Then we've got a Union Jack, which is there, which is in material, which is a big one, which might put up somewhere. Then we've got the Charles and Anne, a proper book there, which she would have bought. I think she had more, but I don't know what happened to them. Then further on we've got you would say is an oversized tea towel sort of shape, but it's got the Queen and it's got the Union Jack on it, and it looks about 3 foot long by about 2.5 foot deep. She must have kept them somewhere under the bed or something. And then we've got another sort of paper, what would you call it, that would fit on the window or something, and that's the Queen again, really bright colours, the Queen and then we've got what you would say is wallpaper. It's a long strip which would have hung down on the side of the butcher's shop window, I think. The blue and the red are absolutely fantastic. The colour hasn't disappeared. And apart from it being folded up, I'll have to see if I can iron that out a bit. That would hang straight, quite long down the wall, I would see, length of a window.
Now we've got a photograph here.
That's the Ladybower Inn in about 1900. Just found it in a drawer, that's why that is there.
Absolute gold dust.
With the horse and carriage outside. Yeah. And then we've got a box with what we would say are a few flags. I don't know what they were fixed on. They seem to have fittings. They could have been for cars, or I don't know what they are. And then there are a couple of postcards which have got the royal family on in the box there next to it. Shame to leave them stuck in the box. Might as well get them out.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Mary. I can't tell you how grateful
I've really enjoyed showing you.
Oh,
if you want to know more about Derwent, there's plenty about that.
It's really brought the coronation celebrations to life.
Yes.
And it's a marvellous collection.
It shows that people thought a lot of it at the time.
Yes. You're a lovely lady, Mary, and thank you so much for giving us of your time.
Well, thank you for coming.
No, I've really enjoyed it.